Imagine being in a stadium with 65,000 people, all like minded individuals, and your team is getting ready to score the most important point in their existence. And then all of a sudden, a roar of cheers comes alive so loud that it's deafening, and you don't even care because you're screaming just as loud. Like a lot of people, I grew up playing sports, and I was just interested in much more than the sports that I played just alone. I grew up with other teams that I liked, but until I was 9 years old, and then I chose the Raiders. Today, I will be telling you about the Las Vegas Raiders. I will be telling you about the three places that the Raiders have called home. Then I will be telling you about the misfortune that the Raiders have underwent in recent years. Lastly, I'll be telling you about the bright future I think that the Raiders have. First, I'll be telling you about the places that the Raiders have called home. First is Oakland, California. And Raiders homepage that has been edited over time, lastly edited in 2017, tells us that 22 seasons have been played in the first stint in Oakland, starting in 1967, and in the second stint, played from 1995 to 2019. Then they moved to Los Angeles, and in a New York Times article by Judith Cummings on August 27, 1967, the Raiders, in fact, went through a 2 year legal battle just to get to Los Angeles. And then they moved to Vegas in a later, after the second stint in Oakland, but in a Source Media Inc. article by Kyle Glazer on March 28, 2017, the Raiders were approved to move to Las Vegas with a $750 million budget. Now that I've told you about the three places that the Raiders have called home, I'll be telling you about the misfortune that the Raiders have been going through recently. And this misfortune is due to certain aspects. First started was a tuck rule in 2002 in the AFC title game when Tom Brady went to throw the football, but then Charles Woodson made him fumble, which was called an incomplete pass later on, causing us to lose the game. That same year, the Raiders lost their coach to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the very next year, the Raiders went to the Super Bowl playing that same coach and losing to that team. Bad draft picks are another attribute as to why that Raiders have been going through so bad times recently. Barry Warner tells us in a Yahoo Sports article on September 20th, 2025, that the Raiders have a list of bad draft picks that have caused them to not live up to certain uh, aspects of where they could be living up to. Like this guy right here is Jamarcus Russell. He was the number one overall pick, and he ended up was on drugs and just wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing as a number one overall pick of a team. Henry Ruggs, some of you may have heard of him. On November 2nd, 2021, he was involved in a sad car crash that killed a woman and her dog. So it's just some of these players are just not living up to what they're being picked. Another attribute that is leading to this misfortune is bad coaching. Yahoo Sports article on by Levy Damien on January 29th has a list of these bad coaches, and this guy right here, Josh McDaniels, is probably at the top of that list. Another one of those names is Dennis Allen. Pete Carroll is another one very recently, and Bill Callahan was the coach of that team that lost that Super Bowl. Now that I told you about the misfortune, I will be telling you about the bright future that I think that the Raiders have in their future. This bright future starts with ownership. Starts with Mark Davis, the majority stake owner. And then it moves down to Tom Brady, the winningest quarterback of all time. And then our GM, John Spytek. The New York Times article by Victor for February 11th, 2025, tells us that John Spytek comes with a no BS mentality. And in the 5 years in Tampa Bay, he led them to four division titles in a row and five playoff appearances and one Super Bowl. Our coach, Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak. And then we have the best tight end in the league, Brock Bowers, two-time Pro Bowler, and set the rookie receiving record. Ashton Jensey, he was a Heisman runner-up in college, and ESPN tells us stats is 1,300 rookie season. Max Crosby, the heart of our defense, five-time Pro Bowler. Fernando Mendoza, our quarterback, number one overall pick, national champion. Today I've told you about the Las Vegas Raiders. I've told you about the three places they have called home. I've told you about the misfortune that they've underwent recently. And then I told you about how I think they have a very bright future ahead of them. So next time you're thinking about wanting to attend a sports game, I challenge you to go ahead and do that. Insert you. Go ahead and go to that game. Adam Rank tells us that the Raiders' future is brightest is the future. And me and my Raider fans will be screaming, Raiders!